let's just jump right in and we'll kick it off. Mayor Pete, I'm going to turn it right over to you to get us started.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this evening. I'm really excited to literally be close to home in terms of these races that are going on across Michigan that really bring out the best of what Win the Era was designed to do, which is to help with the causes and the candidates that we believe in, and to encourage our community of supporters to become part of that. And I'm so thrilled that we're together right now for the purpose. I'll be brief because I want to make sure that you hear as much as possible from three fantastic leaders who are here with us tonight. We've got Alyssa Slotkin, somebody who lives and breathes national service and keeping this country safe. I was just in a bean field with her a couple of days ago in Stockbridge in central Michigan, close to her Lansing district, where she is unbelievably fluent in the issues affecting her constituents in all kinds of different communities, rural cities, students, workers, and you'll see that in a moment if you haven't already got to know her. She's also part of a generation of people who have served this country through her service in the intelligence community and are really redefining what it means to be I believe, a national security Democrat in these times. We have Hillary Scholten, who I'm very excited to see joining Alyssa in the United States Congress. We just had a great time the other day as well, campaigning close to her home. We were in Grand Rapids, and she is somebody who is in this for absolutely the right reasons. First of all, unlike her opponent, really lives and breathes the challenges facing so many of the constituents she's seeking to serve. Somebody who knows what it is to be paying student loans, to be juggling the challenges that suburban parents face. But also somebody who understands at a deep level some of the policy issues at stake right now when it comes to equal justice under law through her work in the Department of Justice, a department that's been demoralized by a lot of the politicization that's going on right now. But I know that she will bring an understanding of what the law is all about to the U.S. House at a critically important time. And then Chokwe Pitchford, who is running for the State House in a State House chamber that is unbelievably close to flipping in our direction. He's from Benton Harbor area, which is very close to here in South Bend. So this is one I'm especially excited about. Also, I can't believe I'm old enough to say this, but excited to see this new generation that he represents stepping up, and also somebody who really has personal lived experience, his family's struggles and encounters with the legal system and aspirations as small business owners has propelled him to decide that he wanted to make his community a better place. And he's exactly the kind of voice that will make such a difference in Lansing, in addition to helping represent, I think, part of the blue wave that's going to make a big difference there statewide. So these are fantastic candidates who are in it for the right reasons. And I don't need to tell the kind of folks around a call like this what a critical moment we're in. This is voting season. It's not even an upcoming election day. It is a voting season that we're in the middle of. Election day is just the end of voting season, and it's not far off. We're seeing very encouraging numbers, but we know that whatever we see in the polls doesn't mean much unless the votes are actually there. And we've got to be there to reach out to everybody who's still thinking about how to vote, everybody who's still thinking about whether to vote, which could be an awful lot of people who will vote for us if we make sure that they take that opportunity. And that's why the voter outreach is so important. That's what you are generously helping to make a reality by offering your financial contributions, which we're so thankful for. And we'll go over some other ways that you can help the cause too, getting the word out about these fantastic candidates and about the unbelievable importance of their races. So again, I wanted to be brief because I'm really eager to spotlight them and have you hear from them. We're going to begin with Congresswoman Slotkin. Again, it was great to see you the other day. I think you might be surrounded by different but nearby bean fields from the ones I saw even most recently. Let us know how the state of the race is going and what motivated you to serve and what the road ahead looks like.
Sure. Hey, everyone. It's great to see everyone and be here with some of my fellow candidates. I see my neighbor in DC is on. I see lots of fun people there. I'm Alyssa Slotkin. I represent, the middle of the state here, mid-Michigan. Indeed, I have a national security background. I'm former CIA and former Pentagon. I did 3 tours in Iraq alongside the military, and my husband, the colonel, is a career 30 years in the Army, a Apache pilot. So we're a service family kind of by culture. And frankly, we were not very political before 2016, and when Trump and the tone and tenor of politics really changed that. I also, as a Michigander, was totally shocked when the state went for Donald Trump and started getting more involved there. And one of the things that I really love about what Pete's doing and Pete's voice in this conversation is I really do believe there is a thing called the Midwestern Democrat. It's very practical and reasonable and willing to work across the aisle because that's how we live here. We are a swing area. My dad was a Republican. My mom was a Democrat. My in-laws are still devoted Trump voters. We understand, because we're a swing state, that we have to approach issues and policy and problems from an area, from the position of values, right? Because I think on values, we still have so much that we agree upon. And I think what Pete does in his life now on TV and on campaigning, and then in his presidential run and with this organization, is support that thing that is the Midwestern Democrat. And sometimes in the National Democratic Party, that's hard. It's hard to feel like you have a voice in a conversation, and it is so critical. That long beyond Donald Trump, and I hope that will be in 13 plus 74 days from now, we will have a different president. That idea that a diversity of voices in every way that we mean diversity is extremely important. I flipped the seat in 2018. We had a Republican incumbent. It's a Republican gerrymandered district. And while I feel strong and we're going to kind of run through the tape, I'm running not just against my opponent, but against COVID. And I'm one of those races where we had a pretty fundamental change in the race when Michigan State University announced that it wasn't coming back to campus, right? Totally agree with the decision, but as a candidate, not having those 50,000 voters showing up in my district get my attention. And so whatever the polls say, we just don't know exactly how to factor in missing 5 or 50,000 students that would otherwise be like approachable and reachable and there, and we could register them. I won by 13,000 votes in 2018, and about 7,000 of them were Michigan State students. So about half my win number. So it gets one's attention. So we're working hard. And what you're helping us do is pay for really creative campaigning in the era of COVID. Pete and I have been going back and forth because he appreciates, we now are doing, like, your money that you're helping to support us with tonight will literally go to pay for my gas pump video screen ads. We are trying to get to people where they are still going, because with COVID, people have different patterns. You have different patterns. They're going to the gas station. And so we did an entire ad campaign. When we have someone captured for 90 seconds, you are helping us do that. Thank you for that. And thank you to Pete for representing us Midwestern Dems in a party and in a country that sometimes doesn't know how to deal with these practical, reasonable Dems. So, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce my friend, Hillary Scholten, who is running a hell of a race. I tell everybody that her race in Michigan is like what my race was in 2018. The polls are so close that, like, all the super PACs are jumping in. It's become this toss up, literally. I think as of today, it's officially a toss up. Hillary is a fantastic candidate. It takes a good strategic thinker to get through a race like this when everyone's coming in and has like a piece of you. So Hillary's great. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. You have provided such a model for women like me who have seen the problems facing their community. And I think women have often been told there's this whole long ladder that you need to climb in order to get to raising your hand to run and represent your community. And women like Congresswoman Slotkin really broke that mold in 2018 and said, I may not have ever run for anything before, but I sure know how to make some good policy. I sure know how to cut through a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts and just do the right thing. I was born and raised very similar to Congresswoman Slotkin, not a cradle Democrat. but born and raised in a pretty traditional and conservative West Michigan community, CRC, cradle till now, where there were a lot of these ideas about shoulds and shouldn'ts. But the story of West Michigan is a changing story, a story of people who are coming to realize that the party of Donald Trump is not the Republican Party that they were raised in. I hear every day on the campaign trail that, I didn't leave the Republican Party, the Republican Party left me. Growing up, my mom and dad were also not overly political, but deeply service-oriented people. My mom was a public school teacher. My dad was the sports reporter at the Grand Rapids Press. I see some of their former colleagues on this call tonight, people who were deeply influential in my life also growing up. They always instilled in me this idea that, when a problem confronts you, your community, your people, you look deep within inside yourself and say, what do I have to give to this problem? This isn't for someone else to solve. It's for me to lean in. And a lot of that is how our faith deeply inspired us to look deep within ourselves and call on ourselves to stand up and to serve in times and places of need. Watching my mom's experience inspired me to commit my life to public service as well. At first, serving as a social worker, advocating for homeless women and children, also advocating through an AIDS Action organization for individuals who were oftentimes experiencing dual discrimination based on a medical condition, and far too often discrimination because of narrow-minded ideas about who they should love, how they should identify. My passion for justice grew stronger. I went to law school. I worked my way through law school, had my 2 kids during law school, graduated with honors, and landed a prestigious clerkship at the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. And after that, served at the United States Court of Appeals, or at the United States Department of Justice, during the Obama administration. Again, didn't join for political reasons, but to make our laws more just, more fair, more humane. So much of that changed when Donald Trump was elected and Jeff Sessions took over. And I realized that I couldn't continue to carry out the duties of this administration and still uphold my oath to defend the Constitution. So I took a stand and left and moved back home to West Michigan, where I've been advocating for families on the margins and struggling with various issues throughout the last several years. Seeing the deep needs in my community inspired me again to raise my hand to run, to be a strong voice for people just like me, who know what it's like to pay your mortgage and your student loans every month, who know what it's like to counsel a family member who's considering whether or not they can afford to seek the medical treatment that they might need, and still put food on the table for their families. We're at such a crossroads right now here in West Michigan, and this district is more winnable than ever. It is also playing such a crucial role in the race for President of the United States. Not only is the work that we're doing here on the ground helping move the electorate Democratic in a generic sense, but in the event of a runoff election for President of the United States, a contingency vote under the 12th Amendment in the House of Representatives, my seat could quite literally be the deciding vote for President of the United States. This is an issue we've been talking about on national circuits recently, as this scenario, once thought obscure and out of the realm of the possible, has been increasingly talked about as a scenario that could come to pass. I'm so excited to be serving with my fellow young public servants in this campaign, because a campaign in itself is truly an act of public service, standing up and contesting the status quo, providing a different way to do things in your own community. We have such an incredible example of that here with us tonight in our next representative in the Michigan House of Representatives, Chokwe Pitchford. So honored to hand it over to you next.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. I appreciate being here with everyone. I want to take a second and tell you about my story and where I come from, because I think that's the most powerful part of who I am as a person. So my mother and father graduated from high school around 1998 into 1999 and ran off with each other down to New Orleans, Louisiana, to find whatever they were looking for down there. And in getting there, they had me. And we left soon thereafter due to economic reasons, and they moved back to Southwest Michigan and got caught up in the early 2000s crack epidemic, where my father was sent off to jail and my mom was forced to raise me alone for the most part in Atlanta because she wanted to move away and get away from all the vitriol that was going on. My dad got out, they wiped their records clean. They decided to chase after that fabled American dream in Atlanta together. They built a house up. I went to public schools. Things were great. My sisters were born. And then the housing market crash hit and the economic turmoil was too much to bear. And they had to leave that home and move back to Southwest Michigan again. But good news was we were moving back home. This is where family was. This is where friends were. I felt more acclimated and I felt like I was a part of the community. 2010, they tried once again. They built a new house. Everything was great. I was going to school. I had dreams to be a cryptozoologist, if anyone knows who that is. And that's a person who chases after mythical beings. Then a house fire happened to that home, burned it to the ground, and the insurance companies decided not to cover because of a small technicality with the siding. So my story is one of seeing my parents try to achieve and aspire towards the American dream and being pushed back down. And we know too many people who've had that dream dangled in front of their face their entire life. 2018, there was a threat to shut down the very high school I talked about earlier, the Benton Harbor High School. And myself and my friends, in a very coming of age 80s style way, said, no, we're not going to let this happen. We're going to get into our community. We're going to knock on doors. We're going to figure out how to fix the world. Well, we didn't know what we were getting into, because then just a few months later, I was sitting across the table from Gretchen Whitmer when she had just been put in office, and she told me something I will truly never forget. She said, the only nexus to real political capital, the only nexus to being represented in government is to be that representation. You can't wait for a politician or a party to do it. If you feel bold enough to believe you can change the system, you might as well get involved in it. And there was no better calling card to run for office than the sitting governor saying, hey, you might want to think about doing this. So I went around the district talking to Democrats, Republicans, independents, trying to figure out what this thing called politics was and why it didn't work. And what I heard were people were tired of politicians saying one thing and getting in office and doing another, campaigning on things they know they couldn't fix. So when we talk about capping the cost of prescription drugs in this campaign, it's not just a political talking point. It is truly because I am wedded to the district. I know the better this district does, the better my life and the lives of the people that I grew up with will be. Now, we have become a bit of a trailblazer when it comes to politics now, because at 21 years old, I decided to run for office, which is the constitutionally available age to run. We've garnered huge endorsements, and I want to give a shout out to Mayor P, because he was the first big one that we got, and it set off an explosion. After him, we got Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Gretchen Whitmer, Garland Gilchrist. They started coming in, and people started seeing this campaign as something that can happen. And I remember talking to every single person who has endorsed this campaign. They did not endorse this race. And Pete, tell me if I'm wrong here. You didn't endorse me in this race because the district was easy, but you thought I was the person who could do it. And that is the testament to the campaign that we've put together. The issues that we've been speaking to are bringing people together, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or independent. And that's why we've raised over $200,000, garnered all of these huge endorsements, and why we have a shot to flip a seat that has not gone for a Democrat since 1960. And it's because we've put people and community and this district at the front of our message, and trying to find a way during this crazy partisan time to bring people together. And the attacks that are being railed against me right now are brushing off, because we've been talking about bringing people together so much that when my opponent says I want to defund the police and burn the country down and I'm this radical socialist, it doesn't fit. It doesn't match what I've been saying this whole time and how I've been pointing out attacks just like that as being the reason why we're in this position. So I truly appreciate the opportunity to be here. I am thrilled. I am humbled to be in the presence of such amazing, amazing, amazing people. Thank you. And I'm ready to pass it over to the team so we can answer questions.
All right. Before we take questions from every attendee here, we just have a quick round of fun kind of more non-campaign related questions for all of the speakers. So Mayor Buttigieg, there are more